Welcome to the Black Doctor Collective podcast. We as Black doctors are in a unique position. We can change our communities, healthcare, and the world. Of course, we start by changing the way we see and value ourselves. I'm your host, Dr. Shanika Horn, pediatrician and physician coach, travel extraordinaire. I am so happy to have you here and listening. So let's get into it. Hello, happy Tuesday. It is springing. Okay, the birds are chirping, the rain has fell. All right, and it is May. I'm actually recording this in April, but who knows, whatever. It's about to be May. I want to talk this episode about the dream versus the reality of medicine, because we know that sometimes those things do not look the same. So let me take you back for a second. Do you remember where you were when you decided that medicine was it for you? I don't know that I had a moment, but I remember kind of trying to weed out my possibilities. So I went into college. I was like, I'm going to be pre-med. It's going to be on and popping. And then I looked at the pre-med course catalog and saw all them chemistry classes and said, no, ma'am, I can't do it. So I switched to an exercise science major, pre-physical therapy. And I thought, most of the classes are similar. I still do anatomy and physiology. I do a lot of more bio-based classes, right? A lot of more physiology-based classes. And I was good with that until junior year, this summer, I did an internship at a physical therapy private practice. Y'all, I was so bored out of my ever-loving mind at this PT practice. Now, in hindsight, I probably should have diversified my experience, but in general, it just was not for me. It was not for me. What I ended up doing was I was at GW. I was down in DC at the time. I ended up connecting to a doctor at the hospital, an orthopedic surgeon, and I was able to shadow him in the OR. And he was doing some meniscal repair, maybe a tear, or I think it was a combo, like a meniscal tear and something else. So I got to scrub in, and ortho surgeries are mad intense, right? You have to be super, super scrubbed. But it just felt like, oh my gosh, the OR, there's a magic to the OR, especially when you haven't been in one before. And when you're naive and don't recognize the lifestyle that comes with working in an OR and the hours, the first day you go in an OR, it's all sparkles and rainbows. So that was a moment where I was like, I would much rather do orthopedic surgery and see inside of a body and do the things than to be in this physical therapy office doing exercises with people. It just was not for me. So that was one of the moments. Of course, I still did not go directly into medical school because my brain likes to know what all the options are. I did a master's in public health because I wanted to know what types of health jobs existed. I didn't really know that. I didn't have a grasp of the variety of healthcare opportunities, and I wanted to see what they were. But the decision-making factor for me was I wanted to be the expert in the field. And I felt like everybody had this reverence for doctors and they defer to them for their knowledge and expertise. And I wanted to have that same level of expertise. So after, I started doing my public health degree and working with people in policy and epidemiology and all the ologies, and realizing that those were not really my jam and that I really still wanted to go into medicine, I decided I'm going to start volunteering at the county hospital. PG County, stand up. I went to PG County, the regular public hospital, and I volunteered in both the ER and in labor and delivery. And again, I was just always ecstatic to be there. I would drive through this DC traffic in my little navy blue Jetta at the time and sign in the ER. I was testing people for HIV and sharing results with them, counseling patients. In labor and delivery, I was providing support to women in labor. It was just like all the exciting things. I literally picked all the exciting things that you see on TV about medicine. So of course, in my brain, it was like there was a dream and that is what I was aiming for. Fast forward to residency. I ended up doing pediatrics because I love kids, always loved kids. Worked at a summer camp every summer since I could get a learner's permit, a working permit. Always did like tutoring in college. So really my love was always around kids. So I decided I would do pediatrics, especially going to L&D and being more concerned with the baby than with the mom who still was trying to deliver a placenta. I had zero interest in the postpartum care. I was definitely interested in the neonatal care. Thought I was going to be a neonatologist even. Imagine how many times you change your mind on your journey. So funny. Fast forward to residency. I'm in peds residency. I still love kids, but the job just doesn't look anything like I thought it was going to look. Honestly, I was just damn tired. I'm like charting through lunch, sometimes almost barely making it to the cafeteria before they close at 2 p.m. And they didn't have a dinner service. They did breakfast and they did lunch. Lunch was over at 2 p.m. And sucks to you if you were there later than 2 p.m. because there was no food option. Oh, there was an avant-pan in the main lobby, but like you'd have to figure it out. Then I'm, just rotating through all of these departments, trying to find something that I love and can grip through. And it just was like, our attendings were there arguing with someone from billing or insurance about codes, watching these administrators roll out another wellness program. When we were not well, I was not well. We were watching them roll out these patient-centered care, like these mommy-friendly programs that were not, or baby-friendly programs that are not mom-friendly, like such a mismatch in the delivery of care and clearly decided by people who were not actually fueled by well-being, but fueled truly by money, like profits over people. And asking myself, how did I end up here? Like, is this what the career looks like? Because let me tell you, when I was watching Grey's Anatomy in college, it did not look like this. And this is what I hear often from doctors that I coach. They start off wanting to make a difference, feeling altruistic, and now they're just trying to survive their week. They thought they'd be feeling fulfilled, but in actuality, they're just exhausted, stressed, anxious. They feel rushed all the time. They start to feel jaded, and a lot of times you hear people asking, like, there's gotta be a different way, and I would say that's exactly what you need to hear right now. If this is you, this is not what you're signed up for. It may be what you have right now in hand, but there is other ways, right? I think the other component of it is that a lot of us are grieving what we thought we would have, like grieving the dream, grieving the doctor we thought we'd be, the practice we thought we'd have. I think especially for Black doctors, a lot of us envision either working in the community that we came out of or that supported us. And so it's hard when the day-to-day reality doesn't actually look like that. And the world keeps calling us successful, but inside we're like super disconnected, disappointed, sometimes just numb, right? And that feeling's actually a signal. It's a sign that you're ready for a shift. And if you're looking for a sign, this is it. And if you're looking for a signier sign, this is still it. Okay? This is the hard truth. The systems we were trained in, the hospital systems, the academic hierarchies, were built on performance and self-sacrifice and perfectionism and altruism. But you cannot work your way into a version of medicine that is going to treat you better or have you feel better. You've probably been like if you're like me, right? We've been overachieving for so long, and sometimes you forget what the dream feels like. I definitely had to spend time remembering what the dream feels like and trying to figure out how to get back to something that resembles that. Now, of course, the dream has evolved because you know way more now than you did when you were dreaming. But the thing that you marked as fulfilling are the things that you should still chase, even the version of you that didn't really know what all was entailed. And that desire that you had, like that excitement you had when you first got accepted to med school, I remember that day. I remember that day to a T. That fire has not died. I remember the day I got into a medical school, the first medical school I got into, and I just was like, I'm going to be a doctor. I told all my friends. I told people that were not my friends. I told everybody, okay? And I remember the day I matched into residency. Well, the match is a two-part, but finding out that I matched, and then that moment I recorded it. I still have a video where I was just in shock. The excitement still was there for me. And at some point, it just got buried under charting, under guilt, under mistreatment, under all the little lies that we start to believe, right? Things like, oh, maybe it'll be better in the future. Maybe with the next job, the next position, the next promotion, the next contract, I can survive anything for a finite period of time. If you know me and you've been listening long enough, you know that was my mantra in residency. I can survive anything for a finite period of time. That poses a little bit of problem with perspective because medicine will keep taking from you until you draw a line. And the doctor you said that you wanted to be, she's not going to come back by accident. She's not just going to suddenly appear. It has to be intentional. You don't need to leave your job tomorrow. You don't need to blow it all up. Although sometimes I know you want to, but you do need to ask, is how I'm working right now even allowing that dream to stay alive a little bit? I think one of the lies that we tell ourselves is that either it's too late, we have a lot of sunk cost fallacy, where we think, oh, we've already put in our time. We might as well just ride it out, especially if we're in jobs that offer public service loan forgiveness, things like that. We believe that, oh, we just have to ride it out. Or we think that you have to change everything. You have to restart. And honestly, you don't need any of that to feel fulfilled, right? You need to reframe some of your thoughts and see yourself in a new way. One of the things I talk about a lot is being this physician leader. And so I walk my clients through that process because if you feel like a cog in the wheel, you are going to act like a cog in the wheel. You're going to throw your hands up, be super frustrated, rant and rave, never ask for anything because you believe it's not changeable and that you are replaceable. But if you are a leader, a physician leader, no matter what position you're in, you don't have to be in leadership or in the C-suite or at the top of academia. If you see yourself as a leader in your space and you do what leaders do, you will ask or you will move or you will advocate. You will do something different when you see yourself differently. You don't need to do this only in a private practice. Some people have notions about the different fields, right? Private practice versus academia. Those things are not true. You can literally do those things in any environment. And maybe you're not in the right academic environment. Not every academic placement is the same. Not every private practice is the same. And so you can find what works for you in any of those settings, but you need to decide what kind of physician you want to be and design around that. One of my clients, excellent client, adore her. She was working 5 days a week and charting on weekends, feeling exhausted and thinking maybe her best bet is to quit, right? But when we looked through her workday and the structures and how she was underutilizing her support staff and not advocating for herself around the schedule, we realized that before we even entertained the prospect of a new job, she needed to negotiate within the one she had. Now, this is not convincing you to stay in a toxic workplace. There are plenty of clients where when we do the assessment, it is very clear that they have to get out. I have numerous clients this way. Their job is never going to be anything other than what it is. But sometimes it's hard for us to see or make that distinction. So with this particular client, the job in itself had room for improvement for sure. And there was some flexibility. And also, you don't know if you're going to get what you want until you start asking. So that's what we did. So she went from full-time to part-time. And for the first time ever, she started really prioritizing her own time. So not just going to part-time to then fill her hours with useless things or chores. She was like delegating at home. She was delegating at work and actually using the time for the things she really wanted to, which is spending more time with her kids, making plans, just, like exploring other things that are not housework or work. Really just connecting with herself. She didn't change everything. She didn't burn it all down. She just stopped tolerating the BS at a job, especially because it was not working. And you can do that too. So here's what I want you to sit with this week. I want you to ask yourself or remind yourself, what kind of doctor did you imagine you would be? Not the role, not the title, but imagine, just remember how you felt when you made this image in your mind. Did you imagine that it would be peaceful or exciting? Did you feel like you would be purposed and proud? Did you imagine freedom and respect? And so if all of those things on this list are things you do not currently have, just think about at what point did that get lost and what would need to change to get it back? Because that girl, that guy, that person who envisioned that for themselves, for their future, is not gone, but we have to make space for that version of ourselves, that old version that was imaginative and creative and just knew that they would make a difference. And so this series in May, this is what we're doing. We're not talking about just quitting or overhauling your life overnight, but slowly choosing yourself over and over and over again. One belief, one boundary, one decision at a time. Next week, we're going to talk about a trap that doctors fall into and that people try to convince us of. And that's you have to choose between mission and money. I once had a recruiter tell me that they were mission-minded, not money-minded, as a way to goad me into taking less pay. And I had to tell that brother, homie, it wasn't a brother, but yes, he was from the Caucasoid Mountains, and he definitely had to be schooled that I can be money and mission-minded. I'm a good multitasker. I didn't become a doctor because I only knew how to do one thing at a time. So don't tell me I didn't go into medicine for the money. I did, and to help people. Both things are true. They are not mutually exclusive. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. You can see I'm ready to talk about it now because I just thought about that and I got on my little soapbox. I was ready. But being mission driven should never mean being broke, and it should not mean being burnt out. So we're going to put that to bed next episode. All right. That's it for today. Share this with a colleague, or if it resonated with you, you can respond directly in the show notes of this episode with the link. I want to hear what your dream looked like. I'll talk to y'all next week. Bye. Hey, I just want to take a moment to talk to my early career Black doctors who listen in, especially if you feel like something at work just isn't working. Maybe you're not being paid what you deserve. Maybe you're constantly stretched thin or not sure exactly how to say no without backlash. And maybe you're wondering if you should just leave medicine altogether, because at this point, who knows? If any of that feels familiar, I created the Any Day Negotiator Group program for you. This is my group coaching experience where we take everything you've been taught about being grateful, about not ruffling feathers, about waiting your turn, and flip it on its head. We talk money, we talk contracts, we talk boundaries, but most importantly, we change how you see yourself and what's possible in medicine. Because what if you actually enjoy your job? And what if you could ask for what you need and get it? What if you could stop questioning your worth and start walking in it? I've had clients negotiate 5 and 6 figure raises, get leadership roles they didn't even think were on the table, including me, and completely redesign how they work without working more. That's the key. My next cohort launches in May, and I want you to be a part of it. If you're ready to stop tolerating and start choosing, head to the link in the show notes for the sign up link, and you'll sign up for a call with me where we talk about what's going on in work and figure out if this program is the right next move for you. Because you don't have to wait for a job change or some big moment. You can start negotiating for what you want any day. Why not today? Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast. And what I want you to do next is link us everywhere you can. Instagram at The Black Doctor. Just become part of our collective. I want you here. Thanks. Until next time. Bye.